fans, it's me, Pete. That's right, it's another deck video, and this week it's a special one. You see, if you're a Patreon supporter and you're at the top level, we will pick one of you every month to pick a battle report for us to record. Now you can pick the whole thing, the warbands, the cards, the tactics, anything you like. This week's request is pretty open. The only factor that was added in here, the only requirement, the only must, is that we have to include half of the cards from the warband that we pick. Now, we had a little thought about this, and we thought this sounded like a brilliant idea, so we've gone with that. The only thing we've changed is that our objectives, we said you have to have at least 4 objectives out of the 12 from your specific warband, because to try and get 6 of them was quite tricky. Not all warband specific objectives are that great, or gel together that well. Obviously, to let you have different tactics and play different kinds of warbands. So what we're doing is we're having 4 of our 12 objectives have to be warband specific, and then half of our power cards have to be warband specific. Now, you can't split that 10 specific power cards or 10 specific upgrade cards for your warband and then 10 non-specific ploys. Obviously there aren't 10 specific ploys, but you know, you get the idea. What you have to do is 5 of your upgrades have to be warband specific, 5 can be generic, or you can have more specific ones if you want, and the same for the ploys. So you get the idea. So what have I picked? Well, for this week, it's a mystery match. We were allowed to pick whatever we liked. The request was only for the faction fraction, as we decided to call it. So I went with Skaven, and I've picked an offensive Skaven deck. Now, I don't know what Robin's coming with, so I have to pick something that's going to be a bit all-comer based. So here are my cards. I'll start off with my objectives. My Skaven specific ones are Arm's Length, which is handy when I've got Skritch, and I'll have a few upgrades which should help me out here as well. 1 Glory, Score Immediately, kill someone who's not adjacent to any of my fighters. Hopefully that'll be a winner. I've then gone for Brilliant. Score, if I score 2 other objectives, well, it's another Glory. That should come in handy. I've also gone for Lives Are Cheap. Skaven die, it's a thing. They do it a lot. They're pretty good at it too, that and running away. So as long as 2 of my guys get killed, I can score that Glory. It'll help me if things aren't quite going my way, get me some more Glory to hopefully bring me back into the game. And the last one is Skritch is the Greatest. I am planning on doing some stibby stabbing with Skritch, so hopefully I can score Skritch is the Greatest and Arm's Length at the same time. Then for my more generic cards, I've gone for Alone in the Darkness. Now, Skaven, a lot of bodies I know. A lot of people like to keep Kirk and Skritch together. I'm probably going to try and not do that quite so much, although there might be occasions when I do. But if Alone in the Darkness comes along, I do have Great Concussion, which should hopefully help me score that. It is 2 Glory. Cover Ground. Almost a must-have for Skaven. It's a Score Immediately, move 6 or more hexes. I have got a plus move, and I've got the Skaven Sprint card in my deck as well to help me score that. I then got Escalation, nearly always going to be in my deck. Master of War, also nearly always going to be in my deck. Miraculous Escape. Now, this was one of my last picks. I've picked this one because Skaven roll 2 defense dice once they're inspired, and I've got some cards to hopefully help big me up a bit there as well. So I'm really hoping the Miraculous Escape comes off. Most warbands, they'll have at least 1 or 2 3 dice rollers in their warband, so I'm hoping I seem to do quite well with my 2 defense dice on my Skaven, and that's a Score Immediately, so hopefully a mid-turn Glory for not dying would be extra bonus. I've then gone for Our Only Way Out and Supremacy, because whilst I am Skaven and I am going offensive, I can get to objectives nearly anywhere, so hopefully if I get those early, that'll be an early win, early lead for me on the Glory front. And Ploy Master, again another card just like Escalation Master of War that I'm always going to have in my deck. My hope is I can get cards like Our Only Way Out, Supremacy, cards like that early on in the game to score me some early Glory to help then give me the upgrades. And talking of upgrades, what ones have I taken? Well, I've gone for Black Hunger, which is a Skaven specific one. Means that my Hungering Skaven can attack everybody who's next to him and does +1 damage, which is tasty. Bodyguard for a price, keeps Skritch next to Kirk, keeps him on guard, handy to keep him alive. I know that doesn't gel very well with Alone in the Darkness, but the theory being that I'm not going to have them both happening at the same sort of time. I've gone for Expendable, not a card I've taken very often, but I think as my Skaven will be getting in the mix a lot, this could actually be a very nice card to have. Deprives your opponent of a Glory, and enables you to deal 1 damage to them when they try and take out one of your guys. I've then gone for Festering Blade, +2 damage if you roll a crit with a range 1 or 2 attack. That goes on the Festering Skaven, and that can stack with other weapons he's got as well, so another +2 damage on top of, say, Demonic Weapon. That's pretty nasty. And then I've got SKITTER-SCURRY, which is a Skritch or Kirk specific card which enables them to move them a hex after they've completed an action. That could be handy for maneuverability, get Skritch into position so he can stab somebody. And my generic cards, I've gone for Concealed Weapon, another one that's a bit like Festering Blades, but a bit more generic, and anybody can have it, and it only applies to range 1 attacks. If you roll a critical hit, +2 damage. Again, I could possibly put that on the Festering Skaven as well. That would be +4 damage if he rolls a crit, and once he's inspired, he rolls 3 dice. Not a bad idea. Demonic Weapon, always like this card for my Skaven and my Sepulchral Guards. Yes, it does a wound to me, but it's 2 hammers, 3 damage, and if the Skaven dies, I can bring him back again. Next one is Dark Darts. Whilst it only rolls 3 swords, the ability to gain cleave off the bat is very handy. It's only 1 damage, I know, but it keeps my Skaven at range, and that could be useful for picking off that one last wound on somebody, depending who I'm up against. HEROSLAYER. I'm not taking this many times. I'm hoping that I can get use out of this. It might only be 1 dice, but it is 4 damage, which is enough to one-shot most people in the game. As Skaven have the manoeuvrability and the speed, I'm hoping I can put that where I need it, and then take somebody out just at the right point. And the last one is Legendary Swiftness. A +1 move on my Skaven never hurts anybody, and it'll help me with cover ground. So those are the upgrades. What am I going to get in my hand to help me score the objectives to gain the glory to buy those glorious upgrades? Well, these are them. First one is Frenzied Stabbing. As I'm going offensive, I need some extra damage in my deck, and that's +1 damage. Thank you very much. Next is Musk of Fear. Put a fighter on guard, and of course it will inspire them as well. Double bonus. Scratching in the Shadows. Basically the Skaven version of Distraction. Always a handy card to have. Sudden Skittering, Skaven version of Sprint. Again, that'll be handy for cover ground. And there are always more. It's always nice to get one of your Skaven back for free, and it inspires them as well. And then of my generic cards, I've picked Confusion, primarily to inspire 2 of my Skaven again. Great Concussion, hopefully to help out with Alone in the Darkness. Also, depending on who I'm up against, I might be able to use this to move me closer to them, or shove me a little further away from them, depending on how things are going. I could also possibly line it up with my Our Only Way Out and Supremacy objectives to gain maybe 5 glory. That would be very nice. Next card is Quick Thinker. Whilst I am on the offense, if somebody charges me, it would be very handy to be able to cancel that charge out by running away. Ready for Action and Spores of Battle are the 2-card combo at the end I've gone with there. If I've got an upgrade in my hand, it'd be really good to be able to charge somebody, play the upgrade, and then use Ready for Action to swing again. Possibly take somebody out, possibly even maybe take 2 people out in one go. You never know your luck. So those are my cards. Pretty straightforward. I'm hoping I can get some of my easier to win cards off early, like Alone in the Darkness, Our Only Way Out, Supremacy, maybe Ploy Master, possibly Master of War, or Skritch is the Greatest as well. Ones that don't require too much offense on my part. Lives of Cheap's also in there in case things aren't going well for me. And then once I can get some glory, I can get some upgrades onto my guys, and I can start hopefully getting things like Demonic Weapon and Festering Blade and HEROSLAYER and Concealed Weapon out. That will then really help me with, well, things like Escalation for a start, but it'll also help me just start to kill my opponent. And I am going to try and kill as many people as I can with this deck. The Skaven speed, the ability to bring people back, really means I can hopefully put the bodies where I need them to be. So anyway, that's my offensive Skaven deck with a faction fraction applied. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like the idea of us doing more faction fraction games? Do you dislike the idea? Personally, I quite like the idea. It means you'll see more cards from us come out rather than the same old every single time. And as always, if you think there are any cards that I haven't taken that I really should, or any cards I've taken that you would absolutely just dump straight away, then let me know. Otherwise, we shall see you soon on the best of 3. Bye!